Hi, Jason Rowan. It's Mrs. Jansen, and I am back with the next project that we are going to be working on together. I hope that you had fun doing your self portraits, and I look forward to seeing how those have gone. And today we are going to be working with a different material, and we're going to be working on something that feels right for the season. So today we are going to be making ears of corn that are inspired by Indian corn, which is all different colors. And of course, you always see it in this fall season. So this is an example that Mr. Warner has given us, and we are going to be doing it on this black paper that is made specifically for the pastels we're going to use, and then some regular construction paper. So what you're going to need for this project would be the black paper that you picked up, the cream colored construction paper sheet, a pair of scissors, a pencil, the chalk that I provided for you in, I'm assuming it will be in a bag, a glue stick, or if you have Elmer's, you can use that too, but the glue is a little less messy, the glue stick. And I think that's about it. So for us to get started, again, we're going to look at a picture of what Indian corn can look like, and maybe you have some at your home out for decorations. Even just some regular dried corn would be worth looking at. So what you can see is it's all kind of lined up. The kernels are normally lined up in rows. So this project is for fun, but the goal is to work on pattern and shape. And you can see on this ear of corn, we are alternating between a yellow and a green, and the yellow turns kind of greenish when it's put on black. So we're going to go from the green to the yellow to the green again, and then yellow, green, yellow. So you can see that we have a pattern here. You can either choose 2 colors or you will be choosing 3. So that will be up to you, and we'll decide that in just a little bit. All right, so I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to take what you're going to want out first, which is our sheet of black paper. And you can see I have a dirtier side, so I'm going to work on the side that's a little less dirty. The first thing that you're going to do, and I'll leave this off to the side, is that you are going to we're going to put in 3 rows. Now you can see that our center row has the biggest kernels. And then the 2 side rows, we're going to be basically creating ovals instead of circles to show the kernels. So we are going to put 3 columns, but we need 1, 2, that are going to go the long ways across, or like a hot dog. So you're going to go ahead, and what I'm just going to do is I've got my ruler here, and I've got it down basically the center. So I'm just going to push that up just a little bit. And then I'm just going to draw a line. Now my ruler isn't long enough, so I have to scooch it over. And then I'm just going to pull it down just a little bit. But again, we're kind of staying in the center. And a good way to make sure that your line is straight, if your paper is straight, is to line up that edge right here of the ruler up against the edge of the paper. And that means that this part of the ruler will stretch out across the paper straight. It won't be angled. So then you're going to go ahead and just draw a line at the bottom. Okay, so you can see I have 2 lines, and I have 2 thinner ones on the side, and then I have a bigger one, central one, in the middle. So we're going to count how many lines we have here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to put 5 lines across. If you want to do a little bit more and have your kernels a little bit smaller, that's fine. I think actually I might add an extra row. So the paper is about 13 inches. So I'm going to kind of calculate that's going to be, the middle of that paper will be 6.5 inches. And so I'm going to mark that. That's where I'm going to put my first line. And these do not have to be perfect. They don't have to be measured out perfect. When we saw that ear of corn, the real corn, they're not perfectly lined up. So it's okay if they're a different shape. But once I do that first line, that's 2 inches. So I'm just going to make sure I gauge that right. Put that other line in. Get another little edge up here for some small kernels. And I'll do that same thing. The other thing, if you don't want to measure it, is after you put your first line in, you can put your pencil up to the edge of the one line, then put your fingers on the edge of the second one, and then I just move my pencil up, and then it tells me where to put the line. So, and I can do that again. I would move it up, then I would put my finger here, and I would make another one. That's just a quick way of kind of testing the measurements of things and making sure that they're accurate, but you know, you don't have to worry about the numbers so much. Okay, so this is really now a nice rectangle with our lines in it, but as you can see, an ear of corn actually tapers. That means it gets smaller, and we're going to round the edges. So we want to make one end a little bit narrow, and we want to round it. So I don't know, and then you can see on this side, we actually want to round the whole thing. So we're going to take our scissors, and we're just going to eyeball it. And we're going to do what Mr. Warner has been teaching you all these other years you've had class with him. So you're going to cut off those corners, just like you have done in kindergarten. So we'll start with this end. This is going to be my other rounded one. And then I'm just going to trim off those sharp edges just a little bit. Okay, so we've got that, so you can see. And it doesn't have to be perfect because corn is an organic shape, and it's not always symmetrical. Okay, so we want to taper this. As you can see, there's a little bit more taken off. So we're going to snip off the corners, but we're going to start farther down. And then we'll match that on the other side. And then we're going to round those corners off again. Okay, so now we have the basics for our ear of corn. Okay. I have it, my black paper. This is basically a textured construction paper that's really good for our pastels. You can choose, like I said, 2 or 3 colors. I'm going to do 3. So I'm going to do red, and I think I'll do this gold yellow and an orange. Now, your pastels are going to be a little bit thicker than mine, so they'll look a little different, but that's okay. So we're going to be drawing in the shape of a kernel. And like I said, that center row, we're just going to be looking at the tops of the kernels. So those are going to appear round. And then on the rows on the side, we're going to be kind of seeing the side of them, and then those are going to be oval. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with my orange. And remember, we're going to work on it being a pattern. So I'm just going to color in how this is going to work. So I started here, and because we're going to be able to fit 3 colors across, so I've got the orange, I'm going to do my yellow here, and then I'm going to do my red. Okay, so this is going to start our pattern, so we know. Now, what's fun about pastels is you can see I'm holding it the long way, and I'm just moving it on its side, and it colors in much faster. The other thing you should note about this chalk is you can smooth it out with your finger. as well. Of course, your finger will turn orange, but that's okay. So now we're going to be going diagonal. So our orange one is the center. That means it's going to be up in the top corner here. Okay, and then it's going to be down here as well. So if you want to, you can just follow your pattern. So that means that this is going to be yellow here. Okay, and so then if we know where that is, then we're going to put red here. And now red is always going to be in front of that orange, so we're going to put the red there, and that means our leftover one is going to be our leftover color, which is going to be the yellow. So, and again, you're going to fill that in, and you're going to do it on the side. Now this chalk pastel is just a little bit, has a little bit more pigment than the chalk that you would see for a chalkboard back in the day when we used to have chalkboards, or if you have your sidewalk chalk. This has a little bit more pigment, so it's a little bit brighter. And if I blend it, you can see off the edge of my paper how we have little dust from those pastels that will smear and spread their color. So, okay, so we're going to get started all over again, and you're going to see how there's going to be a pattern that emerges all the way out. So we'll start with our red, our center one. So we've already got it up at the top. That means it's going to go here. Okay, and then what do we have behind the red? We can see it's going to be yellow, so our yellow will be our center one again. You can see that pattern again emerging, which leaves us with the orange. So you can go ahead, and I want you to just finish up your pattern. Keep following it along. Okay, so once you have your ear of corn all done in and filled in, you're going to take your finger and you're just going to blend the chalk. And you need to do the one color at a time. What will happen is if I did the yellow, see how it makes my finger yellow? And then I mixed, or if I did the red first and then mixed that with the yellow, it would change my yellow a different color. This yellow on my finger will make the orange a little bit lighter. You can see it makes it muckier. But I started with my lightest color so that it wouldn't mess with the color as much. Now you could take your finger and smear it on a paper towel or on some extra paper, and that would be fine too. All right, and the last one I need to smear are the red. And you can see what happens is we lose some of the paper texture. You can also see how loose that chalk is. See, I got red on there because I touched it accidentally. Okay, I want you to look, and you can see when you smooth it out how it softens the edges. The orange doesn't fill it quite as much in, but you can see that ring around this red, which is the powdery residue. So I don't want to get my sheet of paper that I'm going to use for the husk dirty, but if I tap this, you can see all of the extra chalk that's there. Okay, so there's our ear of corn. The next thing that we're going to do are the husks. Okay, and we're going to do that by first, the most exciting step is you're going to take your cream paper and you're just going to start crumpling it up. You're just going to crumple it up. Might have to do it a couple times. Want to be careful when you open it. You don't want to rip it. Okay, so I do have a little rip in mine, but I'm going to crumple it again. I'm going to kind of twist it. And I'm going to untwist it. Now this paper is almost softer and easier to work with. And we're going to go ahead, we're going to pick up our scissors again, and we're just going to cut strips. And they don't have to be perfectly even. you're just cutting, so I'm going to cut around that tear, just cutting the strips up. And if you want, you can crumple it a little bit more. And I think I'm going to have you do 2 of them. So both your sheets are going to crumple. And open it. And then crumple it again. And then we're going to cut. All right, so now we have 2 sheets of paper that we've crumpled up, and we're going to add the husks to our ear of corn. So what you're going to need is your glue stick. So we're going to flip over our ear of corn. We're going to take off our cap, and we're going to just start putting glue on the back of the husk, flipping that over and putting it on our ear. And you can do that by setting your paper on the table. And you can see I'm kind of fanning it. They're not on top of each other. They touch at the part where I'm gluing them, but they separate. If this is a little hard, you can always ask your mom or dad. And you're just going to keep gluing those. All right. So there it is. Now this is a little loose on mine, so I'm just going to add a little bit of extra glue up at the top and pressing that down. And there you have it. Our patterned pastel harvest ear of corn. And we've got our husks and we've got the corn cob. So you can see what it looks like with both the green and the red colors. Go ahead, finish this project, and then post up pictures on Seesaw. I look forward to seeing them. Have a good day, guys.